Welcome to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/Animal Stories for Kids. And now, it's time for our story. Once upon a time, there was a Bactrian camel named Oyanga. Oyanga the Bactrian camel lived in the Gobi Desert, where it was becoming wintertime and the weather was becoming colder and snow started to fall on the land. She was part of a Bactrian camel herd that was migrating to the Gobi Desert steppe, where the snow wasn't as deep and the temperatures were not as cold. Oyanga the Bactrian camel was a calf with soft fur and was very curious. She walked beside her mother as the herd was moving along. Her small humps wobbled as she walked through the snow, and her wide, padded feet were spread out to keep her from sinking too deep. She loved exploring and discovering new things, even in the cold, and her eyes sparkled as she took in the sights around her as they were moving through the land. "Stay close, Oyanga," her mother warned. Her voice was calm but firm. "The snow can hide dangerous things. You don't want to step somewhere unsafe." "Yes, Mother," Oyanga replied, though her attention was already at all the beautiful nature around her. As the herd marched on, Oyanga the Bactrian camel spotted something sticking out of the snow. It was a small mound, which was round and covered with frost. "Mother, can I go see what that is?" she asked, her tail flicking with excitement. "No, Oyanga," her mother replied. "It could be hiding a sharp rock or a frozen hole. Stay with the herd." Oyanga sighed, but obeyed, trailing behind her mother as the herd continued on. A little while later, something else caught Oyanga the Bactrian camel's eye. A strange shape poking out from under a thin blanket of snow. It looked like the edge of something shiny, maybe a stone or a piece of ice that caught the sunlight. She wanted to go discover what it was. She just had to know. "Mother, what's that?" she asked, her voice exclaiming with wonder. "Can I go look at it?" "No, Oyanga," her mother said again. "The steppe in winter can be tricky. Things are not always what they seem. Stay close." Oyanga huffed, her breath forming a puff of mist in the cold air. She loved her mother, but she didn't understand why she couldn't explore just a little. After all, her wide, sturdy feet were made for walking across the snow, and her thick fur kept her warm. The herd continued onward, the sound of their footsteps crunching through the snow, filling the air. Oyanga the Bactrian camel tried to focus on walking with the herd. But then, something else caught her attention. A little shape sticking up from the ground ahead. It reminded her of the flowers she had seen blooming in the desert before winter arrived. She imagined all their bright colors standing out against the golden sand, and she wanted to discover if it was really a flower or not. Oyanga slowed down and took a glance at her mother, who was busy chatting with another camel. And then, taking a deep breath, she decided to investigate. She stepped off the herd's path, her feet sinking a little into the snow. As she walked toward the thing that looked like a flower, it became farther than she thought it was, but she kept going towards it, her nose twitching as she got closer. "It must be a flower," she thought excitedly. "And I think it's surviving, even in the cold." But as she reached the spot, Oyanga the Bactrian camel realized her mistake. It wasn't a flower at all. It was a small bush. Its branches were bare and covered with a sprinkling of snow. Disappointed, Oyanga turned to head back to the herd, but as she took a step, her foot slipped on a patch of ice hidden beneath the snow. Before she could steady herself, she started sliding. She was sliding down a slope. The world around her was spinning as she went. "Help!" Oyanga the Bactrian camel cried. Her voice was high with panic. Her mother, who had been keeping a careful eye on her from a distance, sprang into action. With powerful strides, she rushed to the edge of the slope, her wide feet gripping the snowy ground. "Oyanga, hold still!" her mother called, her deep voice cutting through the wind. Oyanga the Bactrian camel tried to stop herself, but the ice was too slick. She slid faster, her heart pounding. Just as she thought she might tumble to the bottom of the slope, her mother reached her. With a careful yet firm bite, she grabbed Oyanga's scruff and stopped her from sliding further. "Are you hurt, my little one?" her mother asked, her voice soft and calming. Oyanga the Bactrian camel's legs trembled, and tears filled her eyes. "I'm okay, Mother," she said, her voice shaking. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wander off." Her mother pulled Oyanga close, her warm fur wrapping around her like a blanket. "I know you didn't mean to, Oyanga," she said gently, "but the steppe in the winter is full of hidden dangers. That's why I tell you to stay close. It's not because I don't want you to explore and discover new things. It's because I want to keep you safe." Oyanga the Bactrian camel sniffled, leaning into her mother. "I understand now, Mother. I'll stay with the herd." Her mother nuzzled her. A deep, reassuring rumbling came from her chest. "That's my good girl," she said. The two climbed back up to the slope together where the herd was, Oyanga carefully following her mother's steps. When they reached the top, the herd was waiting, their shaggy coats dusted with snow. As they rejoined the group, Oyanga the Bactrian camel glanced at her mother and smiled. She knew there would still be things she'd want to explore, but she also knew her mother's wisdom that came from experience. The herd continued its journey. The steppe stretched out before them. Oyanga stayed close to her mother. She felt better, and she was still filled with curiosity, but she learned her lesson to listen to her mother. And as the sun began to set, and the herd began to settle down to rest, Oyanga felt grateful, not just for her mother's guidance, but for the adventure she had with her mother that had taught her to listen. And the Bactrian camel lived happily ever after. The end. The Bactrian camel, or Camelus bactrianus, is also known as the domestic Bactrian camel, or two-humped camel, or the Mongolian camel, and is native to the steppes of Central Asia. It has two humps on its back, which is different to the camel with one hump, which is the dromedary camel. Bactrian camels are large animals that can weigh up to 1,800 pounds. Their two humps are filled with fat, which they use for energy when they don't have any food around. When the fat is gone, their humps start to sag. Their coats grow thick in wintertime and shed in the summer to keep them comfortable in the temperatures that they live in. They have long lashes and nostrils that close that protects them from the blowing sand and the cold. Bactrian camels are found in the deserts of Mongolia and China, including the Gobi Desert. They live in rocky and sandy areas where temperatures can swing from very hot to freezing. Bactrian camels are diurnal. They're mostly active during the daytime, and they sleep in the open at night, and they forage for food during the day. They are primarily herbivores and have tough mouths that can eat sharp objects like thorns and are able to eat plants that are prickly and dry and even salty and bitter. And they can eat almost any kind of vegetation. Bactrian camels eat grass, leaves, twigs, and tough plants that other animals avoid. In snowy winters, they dig through the snow to find food. Bactrian camels chew their food twice because their stomachs have multiple compartments. The first time they swallow food, it's not fully chewed, and it goes into their stomach and later is brought up to chew some more. Bactrian camels can go for months without water, but they could drink up to 30 gallons or more in one go when they're thirsty. Bactrian camels have bodies that are built to conserve or save water. They don't sweat very much, even in hot weather. In the wintertime, when they really want to drink water, they will eat snow. Bactrian camels have tough foot pads that help them walk on rocky, sandy, snowy, and icy ground. Bactrian camels live in groups called herds. Bactrian camel babies are called calves and stay close to their mothers, who are very protective, and they can run shortly after they're born. Bactrian camels can run as fast as 40 miles per hour and can swim pretty well. Bactrian camels have excellent eyesight and have a good sense of smell. The name Bactrian camel originates from the ancient region of Bactria, which is located in Central Asia, in modern-day Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, and were where these two-humped camels were found historically. The Bactrian camel is a critically endangered species in the wild. Have you seen a real-life Bactrian camel before? If you have, where did you see it? If you want to write to us, ask your parent to email us at animalstoriesforkids@gmail.com and tell us what you think of our stories. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/animalstoriesforkids. Until next time, bye!